Hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me? How's everybody doing? If you don't mind turning on your cameras, unless you're not, you don't have to turn it on, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, welcome. So good to see everybody. This is our first call after our first week. So we made it through a whole week, only 7 more to go, right? We're in 8 weeks. So what I wanted to do for this first call is to, I'm letting someone in, is to go over first off, the topic was going to be food prep and label reading. So we'll talk a lot about that throughout this call. And everyone I know shared within the group different food prep ideas or different things that they prep during the week. What I want you to share with the group, if you don't mind, your name first off, but then something that you do for meal prep that makes you successful, that you need to do to be successful. So I'll use myself as an example. When I shared the photo of the food prep that I had on the group page, I have to bag everything and measure it ahead of time. Like that's the only way that I'll be successful for the week. First off, because I'm really busy during the week. So if I have to rely on myself to do that in the middle of the week or on the fly, I will fail. I will lose because I don't have the time, and then I will make very bad choices. And I typically then will eyeball things according not so much to what it is supposed to be, but how I'm feeling at the time if I'm super hungry. Or what food prep forces me to do is to eat exactly what it is that I have. If I go through all that trouble, then I'll eat it, even if I really don't feel like it. And I know that it sounds like, but it keeps me honest with my food. So portioning it out, I portion it out in bags. It makes it easier for me to take it and go throughout the week, and then also doesn't give me any sort of leeway for a variety in something that I could potentially use to sabotage my my week. So that's my share. So then think on that really quick, and then anyone can start. And we're going to popcorn. Does everyone understand? So when we popcorn, that means that I'm gonna say, okay, Naomi, I want you to go. So Naomi's gonna go. She's gonna say her thing, and then she's gonna popcorn to somebody else. Got it? So excited to see you here. Who wants to go first? Naomi.
I was gonna say you already said my name, so I figured I figured it would be me today. Hi, I'm Naomi. I think at one time we were gonna talk. I'm from New Jersey. Just I'm putting it out there, just so people know. So one thing that I know, or actually that I've learned about myself this week, which is very interesting, is that I I did well with making sure I had what I was supposed to eat, but I actually need to make sure that it is. I think it Narissa that earlier that said something like I was meal prep ish or something like that. That was me this week. It was like I had all the components and I put them together when I got to work. But I know for me, that's not a good idea. Like it needs to be done. So my concentration this week is to make sure that I actually not just have the components to put it together when I get to work, but that all I have to do is open it up when I get to work. Kind of like what you were saying, Phoenix, about, I am like super duper busy. I'm normally in my car. Aren't you proud of me? I'm in my car. Aren't you so proud of me? I'm normally in my car because I'm constantly moving. Um, and I do start grad school this week for another master's. So everybody who prays, please pray for me, or whatever you do, meditate, something. um, but that's one of the things that I know I need to do. So I would say what would make me successful is to make sure that I don't just grab everything and have it with me, but make sure that it's completely done. So all I have to do is grab it. I'm going to pick on Kia. Hi, Kia.
Hi, Naomi. Um, it's going to be the same for me. Sorry for first. Hi, everybody. I'm Kia, and I'm in Pennsylvania. And for me, what I learned also was the food prep. I had a whole bunch of everything that I purchased from the store, And I am on the go with between sports and work and trying to take some walks myself and get a workout. I do realize that I need to food prep a little better, which is actually what I've been working on so far today. Just to make sure we went to our Shady Maple. Naomi know about Shady Maple. We got all of our meats, all of our fruits, vegetables, and so now I'm just in the process of trying to actually meal prep it. So all I have to do is just grab and go versus like Naomi said, trying to make it right then and there on a moment. And I'm going to popcorn to Marion.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marian. I'm based in New York on Roosevelt Island. And my secret to success, not really success, but it's basic, but I just need to shop. I just need to buy what it is I will be eating. I live by myself, so I'm really only cooking for myself or my partner every now and then. But it's literally sometimes I just don't have any food. So I need to know what I'm making and buy it. And then keep a few basic staples like some chicken breasts, some salmon, just on the ready. So that's what I try to do as I'm about to go to Trader Joe's in a little bit. And I'll popcorn to Narissa.
Good night, everyone. My name is Narissa. I am in Brooklyn, New York. And I I was listening to Naomi explain what her meal prep-ish meaning is, and I guess we all have our own meaning of what that looks like. Um, for me, meal prep-ish means I did not meal prep enough to carry me out multiple days. And that's what I struggle with. I hate cooking. I can cook. I hate cooking. So for me, if I can meal prep for a good 3 to 4 days, I don't mind eating the same thing all week. Um, and so last week I kind of struggled because I found that I was cooking a little bit, like I would cook breakfast and prep maybe like a snack and lunch on Monday, and then had to come home and cook dinner to carry me, like maybe a lunch and a dinner to carry me another couple of days. That does not work for me. I need everything done so that I don't have to think about it. I don't have to focus on it. I know it's there. I can grab it, heat it up, or take it out the fridge, let it go to room temperature, eat it, whatever the case may be. But this cooking every day doesn't work for me. And I will popcorn to Gail.
Hi, it's Gail. I'm not going to show my face. I'm still getting over COVID, so not sure how much I can offer to this conversation for this week. But I know in the past for me, if anybody knows me, I do not like leftovers, so that's always my issue. I don't mind cooking. I generally cook every day, so that doesn't bother me. So what I normally do is I can eat leftover like potatoes or vegetables, but meat I cannot. So generally what I do is I'll just prepare my meat uncooked in the refrigerator and then I'll cook it that day. Um, so generally for me, it's just making sure I have everything in the house. And as long as I have everything in the house, then I just pull it together as I need it. And like I said, because I like to cook, so that doesn't bother me as much. So that's how I stay on task on food, if you will. And I'm going to go to Valerie.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Valerie. I am based in Boston. Massachusetts. I'm prepping now. And what helps me be successful, I mean, what everyone has said, right? For me, it's either cooking in advance, it is, preparing a meal or two in advance. And also what helps me, because right now, it's because of my schedule, I'm just going to eat the same thing. So I'll just, and I'm okay with that. When I find something that I like, I generally stick with it anyway. So, I have my go-tos that are easy for me to prep. And when I have a little bit more time, like maybe on the weekend or something like that, then I may change it up. But like during the week, it's the same. It's the same old thing. So that's me. Let's see, who hasn't, is iPhone available?
Hi, I don't know if that's me. I'm Justine, New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm not sure why my name is not popping up. I had problems with Zoom. But for my meal prep, I basically food shop and then chop everything to my recipes when I get it. So I'm prepared for the week of what I'm doing before I even put it back into the refrigerator. Who else has not gone? Who else?
I can go next.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joa. I'm sorry for the background noise. I live in Brooklyn, and for me,
You are sorry, can't hear you. You went mute.
for me, what work is prepping for the first at least 3 days. I'm really busy. I work in a school. I have 2 young kids, so we're always like moving around. So I get the groceries on Saturday, and I spend like half the morning on Sunday prepping. And definitely what you said, dividing everything helps throughout the week. Yeah, and I think that what I noticed from this past week is that I need to pack both of my snacks, because by 3 o'clock, like by the time that we're coming home, I'm hungry. So this past week I didn't do that, but I am gonna do it this week.
Okay, I think that the only person that hasn't gone is whoever iPhone 3 is. I don't even know who that is. iPhone 3, identify yourself. Or if you don't know your
That's
iPhone.
probably Issa. That's probably my sister.
Issa, is that you?
Yes, it's me. I'm so sorry. I'm having issues with this phone and Zoom.
It's okay.
Hi guys. I'm Issa, actually Saudi, but everyone knows me by Issa. I'm Joa's sister. I am located in Monroe, New York. And just like Joa says, I actually live a very busy life with work and the gym and other extracurricular activities. So I like to prep Sunday morning. I like to grocery shop on Saturdays after the gym and chop everything up Saturday. That way it's ready for me to start my prep on Saturday morning. And I like to get it out the way as early as possible and bag everything up and, place everything in its proper Tupperware. That way I'm just ready. I grab and go for the remainder of the week.
Okay. Thank you, Issa.
You're welcome.
So now you have to, so your sister, because now you just said her name differently, and I hate mispronouncing people's names. Can you read?
Her name is Joaudi, We call her Joa.
Joa. Do you want to be called Joa? Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, thank you all for that. Okay, so then yeah, this is our first week. I was seeing everybody's posts and everything. Really impressed actually, because I know some of you are already kind of used to it, but then with everybody, the first 2 weeks especially, it's very difficult getting the food in. And so I get a lot of people saying that it's overwhelming and that they don't know what the macros are and they don't know how to, and they're not used to measuring. So all of you, I feel like overall have been doing really well. What I feel like I hear, and so these are a couple of points that I picked up from what everybody was saying. I think Marian made a good point about keeping staples. I stress how you need to have protein within your day. And what I do is I make sure that I prep enough protein sources. So like when Narissa was talking about like making enough, I'll just batch prep. I'll just bake a whole bunch of chicken. You know, I portion it out after I cook it and put it in bags. I figure out what to do with it later, but at least I have, you know, that you have to have protein sources. So then making sure that you have that. And if nothing else, like for me, for instance, if I run out of, I don't know, like a vegetable or something, or if I need a carb and I don't have it, but I need to eat something because I know that I'm going to go too long of a window without it. And we'll talk about timing on food in a second. Then I can grab that and eat it, you know? And that's another thing, like chicken is my go-to personally because I can eat it hot. I can eat it cold. It doesn't matter. Like I don't have to go through the trouble of figuring out I don't have a microwave. I don't microwave my food. So then I don't have to figure out how I'm going to heat it up. I can just eat it as it is. So it's something that I can just kind of grab on the go and it's easy. And I know that it's something that I need regardless. So that was one of the things that I wanted to mention as far as like, yeah, keeping staples, keeping things aside from like bars and stuff like that should be a secondary thing. Making sure that we're not always reaching for something that is processed. So really get in the habit of eating or grabbing something that is a whole food type situation before we go to something else that our body has to go through the extra trouble to process, to utilize. Okay, batch prepping, keeping staples, knowing your thing. So then a couple of you had mentioned that, and that's why I asked this for you specifically. What is it that works for you specifically? Really be honest with yourself with that. Don't say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go prep my food like today. My food is already prepped. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I won't. Or I'll do it late, or then I'll mess up my whole day, which will mess up my whole week because I already know that I don't have time to do it for the rest of the week. If I miss Monday, that's it. I've got 5 days of bad prep, 5 days of bad food eating, because that's what will happen with me personally. So understand what it is that works for you and then do that thing, you know, set yourself up for success each week. You know, I try to get you guys your information ahead of time. If you don't have it in enough time, then let me know that so that I can figure out how to do that in a more efficient manner for each of you so that you can prepare. And well, before I go to preparation, snacks. I think that is the other thing. Make sure that you have snacks. We eat around the clock, and that's not a bad thing, you know. But then if you're eating around the clock to where you're hungry, then that means your metabolism is picking up. That's good. So then provide yourself with snacks that you know that you can, that will substantiate your own eating regimen. Okay, so I had to travel this past weekend and I had a ton of stuff packed with me before I go to the airport. The airport is the worst. And I showed you guys all these different pictures and everything. Aside from it just being too expensive, it's all junk food. It really is. It doesn't matter how they sit there and try to dress it up. It's all junk food. Even like in the restaurants and stuff like that, you know it has to be because they mass prep a bunch of different foods. So they're not giving you stuff that they just cut up fresh and decided to bring out there. No, like that stuff is probably frozen. They thawed it out and then they put it on a plate for you to eat. I mean, and that's if they put it in a skillet. They probably threw it in a microwave. So, and then they're charging you $20 for it, whatever it is. Okay. So make sure that you have snacks with you, especially in an airport type situation, because then everything looks good. all of these different things that, you know, like maybe you've eaten before, or like you don't typically eat, or you don't typically want. That's the other thing. Everyone always says like all these cravings that I didn't have before. Now I want this and that. I never used to want popcorn. I never used to want this. And now it looks really good. Yeah, of course it does. Cause now you're not supposed to have it. So, and you're telling yourself you're not supposed to have it. So when you give in to those things, we can talk about cravings later too, but when you give in to those different things, it's not your body that needs that. That is, your body only needs it when you give it to it. And then it wants it in addition to. Like, and over the weekend, it was the same thing. We went somewhere and someone was like, oh, does anybody want dessert? Oh, do you want to split dessert? I was like, no, because that won't be the end of it. That's not the end of my story. No, because then I'll sit there, I'll eat that. Next thing you know, after that, I want something else. Why? Because I know that I'm really bad with sugar cravings. So I know that about myself. I don't set myself up for that. Okay. The last thing that I feel like I heard with everybody is preparation. Preparation is key. Prepare ahead of time. Do not go out in life and act like you need to test yourself every day. Oh, well, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna go to this function and blah, blah, blah. No, you won't. Okay. Just assume that you won't. Prepare yourself so that you will be those successful in what it is that you need, and put that in front of you. Put that in front of you, because when you have other things in front of you, like I said, when you're hungry, it's not that you make bad decisions, but you're just going to make decisions based off of what it is that you're used to making decisions on. We're trying to change our decision making here. We're trying to change our lifestyle. It's not going to come automatically just because we said that we should do that. You know, our body's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's not good for us. Let's not eat that. That's not what we're saying right now. So getting in the habit of doing that. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Those are all good shares. Any additions to that before we move on? Does anyone have any questions pertaining to meal prep? Are you struggling with something in particular that you need help with?
I had a question on, because you mentioned processed foods, and some of the recipes or meal plans have like prosciutto and ham and turkey. So I'm just wondering, is there like organic or good versions of this, or how do we incorporate that if it is processed?
That's a good question. So with those recipes, unless you specifically said, if you specifically said, I don't eat beef, I don't eat certain things, then when I went in and navigated your particular menus, I took those out from the beginning. So like at this point, what I'm providing within those recipes is just that, something that is a structure. Please substitute out different things as you see fit. If you have beef in there and you don't eat beef, or you've already had beef for the week, you can substitute a different protein source. Use a different, recipe or something like that, but you don't have to be forced to. And I know some of those recipes like use deli meat, which I highly discourage. Don't use like deli meat like for anything, especially like for the turkey. Use real turkey cutlet, like actual turkey. Use real chicken. So all of those things. If you are in a bind, just like with the bars, like I don't encourage using like protein bars all the time. That should not be a staple of your food. But if you're in a bind, grab a bar. That's going to be better than something else that you could potentially grab. And it's the same with deli meat. If you absolutely have nothing left, or if you have to go out and grab something, then utilize that. But for the most part, if you're prepping your food, yes, substitute out what you see fit for your dietary restrictions.
Well, in that case, I think my menu needs to be revamped, because I have, and it specifies sliced ham, it specifies sliced turkey. I don't have any chicken or chicken breast on my menu. It's either beef or salmon or tilapia. And not for nothing, but filet mignon is not cheap, and you can't buy that in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of struggled last week with that. I think I ate beef twice last week, but I don't know, like now I'm now going into this week, I'm kind of questioning what I've prepped.
Okay, so
I don't know.
so then I'm clear. Like, so then like last week, for instance, in your menu, you're saying that it didn't have any references to chicken or turkey. It was all like beef and tilapia.
Yes, it was filet mignon, and there was no chicken breast meal. There was a tilapia meal and there was a salmon meal, but no chicken breast. And now this week I have filet mignon, I have pork center chops and salmon as my protein sources. So like, I don't know.
Okay, so then let me look again at yours. Very beef heavy. Okay, let me look at your original setup then.
Okay.
Keep what you have for this week, but then I'll look at it for it going forward. Because
Okay.
it should have like different chicken options. But if what you have is like what Marion mentioned, as far as, oh, well, it may say a processed type of meat. If it says a processed chicken, then what I'm saying is use regular chicken. But if you're not getting any chicken or anything at all, then let me look at it just to make
Yeah,
sure
like
don't
I
have it wrong.
had some turkey wraps, which was basically deli turkey wrapped in a quarter of avocado for a snack and stuff, but outside of that, I don't have any chicken.
Okay.
Like turkey is the closest thing I have to chicken.
Okay, then let me look at that. Thank you for that.
Does that include the canned chicken as well? Because I have canned chicken on my menu.
Canned chicken is allowed. Just make sure that it's clean.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had to use that on occasion. And that's a good question too. Like some of the, like you can get I think Purdue maybe makes it starts with a P. One of those chicken brands that makes the chicken strips that are already made. So if you get those or if you utilize those, I don't completely disagree with those, especially if you're on a time crunch. Again, it's a time crunch kind of thing, but really look at the ingredients on that and make sure that it's chicken, at least mostly chicken. Some of it is like, what do they use? It's a protein source and not like it's not all chicken meat. Okay, so just make sure that it's not like so processed to where you're not really getting you're not getting chicken out of it.
Okay.
Anyone else on that?
Yeah, Phoenix, I had a lot of last week I had more beef in mind than I do this week. This week I actually have chicken in mind. But they're doing a lot, like I've had two different types of roll-ups where it's just the deli meat, the lettuce, the deli meat, and then there's cheese and then peppers and then lettuce, and you roll it up. But it's like and the deli meat I use is from Wegmans and it's called just beef. So it's not as I actually don't even like deli meat, but that particular meat I like because the way they prep it, it actually, when they slice it, actually looks like beef. Like it doesn't look like deli meat. They have one that's called just chicken too. So it actually tastes like beef. So that was what I went to go get, but I thought that was really interesting that I had. So like I had same thing. I had filet mignon, I had simple steak, I had beef roll-ups. Like it was very beef heavy. And it's like, I don't have a problem with eating it, but it was like I didn't get chicken until this week.
Okay.
I mean, I had canned chicken, but it wasn't it wasn't what I'm used to seeing. So
okay. Yeah, so let me take a look at that. And this is also a good exercise to make sure that we're able to swap out stuff when we need. So it's good to mention it, but then like I wouldn't necessarily swap it out every single time just because this is part of the exercise and making sure that you are able to make the adjustment for you. Otherwise, I'd be swapping it out every week for everybody. So, but I do want to make sure beef is not good to have all the time, just because it takes our body more time to actually process and break it down. So it's not something that I recommend to even have that often. Aside from the fact that the beef that we have here is garbage. Okay, any other?
I'm sorry, Mel. I've been swapping out, like last week my menu was actually beef heavy as well. And I had chicken cutlet as well, but I substituted for the chicken.
Okay. And that's what I recommend. I mean, unless I don't know. Like, I guess sometimes you can have a recipe that is very beef based or something, but usually you can kind of just swap out the meat.
Okay.
Okay, let me go quickly to this next thing. I wanted to get through this before our call is over. So then the trivia question. First off, I gave everyone credit that just answered the question, because I think that it can kind of depend on the details that are provided and what you feel that this person needs or doesn't need, you know. But the question was, Jane didn't get to work out until late, and this actually happened to me. So then I put this out there to see what other people would think. Didn't get to work out until late. So she did not get home until 11. But she had a heavy lift that day. And she was already under her macro count for the day. And what I asked was whether or not she should eat, yes or no. And then if she does, then what should she eat and how much? And so I think that I didn't read. So Martine's answer, I think, was the most descriptive. So this is the one that I posted. She said she should since she worked out, she should replenish her body's food source to prevent injury. She could have a protein-rich smoothie or just a protein drink, which is easier to digest before bed / overnight. So I wanted to get everyone's feedback on that first before I gave my feedback. So what does everyone think? Should she eat, yes or no? And then if so, why and what?
So when I answered the question, I said that because of the workout and just the idea of recovery, that she should have some type of, like, one of the things that our menus keep saying is like post-workout snack or whatever. And so I was thinking, if you ate something, you know, like that, as opposed to a full meal trying to make up for the macros you're missing, it would be at least something that your body would be able to use to replenish itself versus trying to, you know, digest a whole complete meal.
Okay. Good. Anyone else? Anyone think that she should not work out? I mean, should not eat?
Oh, I think she should eat. I personally, because I've been in such a situation, and I would just eat a full meal. I mean, it might be late, but I'd rather get my intake in than not. So I would eat full.
I was concerned because it was so late. So I was like, how is she going to digest if it's already 11 p.m. midnight?
Okay, so that's a good point. So then, Kia, going with your answer, and again, no right or wrong answer, but what do you think? So then if you're saying that you feel like you would need to eat at that time, do you feel that there's something that you would need to do then to assist you with digesting or processing your food at that time? Is it okay because you just worked out? What do you think?
I would think that it's okay because you just worked out, but the most I would do is maybe sit for that 30 minutes, maybe to just kind of let it digest a little bit, because I know it's kind of hard to eat and lay down for some people. So I would just say at least like the 30 minutes I could sit up, and then I'll go right to sleep.
Okay. Okay, anyone else have any feedback? No. Okay, so I thank you for all of that. I think that depending on the situation and what it is that each of you described, like, it could be different, right? In my particular case, I did eat, and I did eat a whole meal. And I did eat a whole meal because I wasn't going to bed soon anytime anyway. So for me, I wasn't going to go to sleep. I knew that. And I knew that if I didn't eat after that workout, and it was a heavy workout, I did cardio prior, I did a heavy lift, I knew that it would have been a wasted workout. So I ate after that. And typically what I tell people is your body needs about, and this is why I give everyone that 3-hour window, about 3 hours, right? Prior to bed, prior to you going to sleep, for your body to process the food. So you need to give your body enough time to process the food. With everybody, it's different. Some people, just like some people cannot work out on an empty stomach, and other people can work out right after they eat. Some people need to eat, but then allow their body enough time to settle before they work out. Everybody's body works differently. So I don't think that there is necessarily a completely right answer. There are just certain things that contribute to whether or not it is a good idea. So for some people, for instance, show of hands, who works out? Show of hands. You all are not. Okay, so then if you're not on camera, you have to hit the hand button, or you have to bring yourself back on camera. Show of hands, who works out in the morning? Who has to work out morning time? Who works out in the evening?
I do.
So then for those of you who work out in the morning, why don't you work out in the evenings? Anybody, just give me one person that's a morning person. Why don't you work out in the evening?
Gail, I don't work out. It's just more convenient in the morning. And I feel like if I wait until the evening, I won't do it. It's like one more thing that I'll have to do.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me just to do it in the morning, get it over with, and then I don't have to think about it. I can go about my day. And I'm not rushing at the end of the day trying to work out.
Okay.
Same
Evening.
here.
One person that's an evening person. Why do you work out in the evening?
I had to switch my schedule because of my son. He goes to school. He leaves early in the morning, and it doesn't allow me the time to hit the gym. He's very iffy whether he makes it to school or not. So I have to make sure that I'm home. So I started working out in the evening after work.
Okay, so then going in that same thing, with that same vein, Issa, does it keep you up working out that late?
Well, I work out right after work. I get to the gym at 5:30. It doesn't keep me up. And I eat as soon as I get home because my meals are prepped. So
Okay, good. Okay, so then how about the morning person? Is there anyone that doesn't work out in the evening because it makes them restless at night?
Gail, me.
Okay, so, but you see what I'm saying as far as like the timing of it? Because with everybody, it's different, right? I can't, me personally, I don't schedule working out in the evening most of the time because I won't do it. And the reason why I did it this time was because I made myself do it, and you see how late it was. So I talked myself through the entire day until the nth hour. And then I was like, okay, I got an hour left in this day. Let me make this work. Let me make this happen. So it was too late for me, but I ate during that time anyway. So then I do think it's important when you do heavy lifts, especially, that you eat afterwards, because you need that for recovery. You need it for fuel. Now, I did say within this one that she lifted. If I'd said she worked out, it's not good to assume that what she did was a lift, right? Maybe she just hopped on a treadmill. If she hopped on a treadmill, is it necessarily important for her to eat something? Not necessarily, especially not post, right? So then really quick, let's talk about pre and post meals. Pre and post meals. What do you know about what should happen before you work out, what you eat, and after you work out? What do you think you know? Anybody?
I don't know anything about pre, but post, I know since your muscles, and especially if you're lifting, you've just torn down some muscles. So to aid with repair, that's where the protein comes in handy, and to try to get it in within an hour after working out.
Okay, very good. Anyone else?
I also think protein is is good and necessary for prior to, because I feel like it helps you with the strength and the stamina to keep going.
Okay. What do you need pre-workout meals for?
For lifting.
Right. So then pre-workout infers what? What do you need that food for?
Energy.
Yes. So then what would you need within that meal for sure?
Protein
Carb.
and carbs.
Yes.
Protein.
Protein and carbs. So here's the tricky thing with that, right? Protein, first off, the protein number, like I said, the protein is easy. You need that all day, every day. You need that in any meal. And it doesn't have to be heavily weighted in any particular meal. Your carbs are what are tricky, because your carbs are not necessarily utilized depending on your activity. Your protein you need all throughout your day. You don't need to bulk up on protein too. That's not necessarily a good thing, because your body only processes so much of it at a time. So that's why what is the one that's protein heavy? Keto, right? No, that's the fat one. Which is the one where you only eat like meats and
Atkins.
That's
Kinda.
keto. That's keto. Keto is meat and vegetables. There's no carbs in there.
no carbs, right? But it's heavy on fats.
It is heavy on fat, but it's also heavy in protein too. Meat.
So the idea behind
Paleo.
Paleo, that's
thank
it.
you for that. Okay, so then the paleo diet is protein like centric, like it focuses only on the meat portions of the macronutrients. And the idea behind that is when you're eating protein, when your body doesn't need it, it doesn't necessarily like store it as fat. Whereas like if you eat carbs and you eat too much of it in a sitting, then it stores the rest of it, breaks it down, stores the rest of it, and then you have it sitting around your organs and in your love handles and all that kind of stuff. So then that's why the carbs, when you're eating it, it is important to put those in places that you need it. Pre-workout, you're going to use it. Post-workout, right after your body needs it. So then when you have the protein sources are always going to be important. So you need pre and post in that. When you're doing pre-workout, you need carbs there and you can do fats there. When you do post-workout, you need carbs there and you need protein there. No fats. No fats post-workout. Because what happens is post-workout, your body is going to immediately reach for a source right away. And fat sources are the most accessible. So you don't want it to reach for a fat source post-workout. You want it to reach for a carb source and your protein source. It's automatically going to go to a protein source. So you got to make sure that that carb source is there. That is why I always encourage, because it's the quickest, the window that Marion gave is exactly accurate, if not less than that. 30 minutes to an hour post-workout, you need to have something in your system to help with recovery for your workout. The carb source of it is the most important part, because you need sugar. Your muscles in that time need sugar, so it'll reach for a carb source. So that's why even post-workout, it's good to have like fruit, bananas, that kind of thing, because your body's going to process that right away. It's going to reach for that right away. So post-workout, and then after that, an additional meal, because you shouldn't probably have enough of your carb source within that post-workout shake or meal. Right after, you'll probably have another meal, at least another 2 hours, no more than another 2 hours after that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so here is an interesting tidbit. What do we always hear about sweet potatoes? Are sweet potatoes a good or a bad source of carbs?
I say sweet potato is good,
Good.
except for when we make it the sweet potato casserole like we do at Thanksgiving. Now that one is the bad one.
Right. Why is it a good source? Anybody?
It's high in potassium.
Potassium is good, yes.
That's not right.
Oh, I mean, that is right. That's not what I'm looking for, I guess.
Oh, okay. What's the question again? Why is sweet potato?
Why is it a good source of carbs?
Because it's good. It's sweet.
And it's
That's all I got. And it's sweet. So that's the carb and the energy.
Who knows about the glycemic index?
Oh,
Somebody on here. Yes.
Is it low? Is it low on the glycemic index?
It is. It is low on the glycemic index, which is why is the glycemic index important?
So your blood sugar won't spike. I mean, if you have something that's high in on the glycemic index, that will make your blood sugar go up.
Exactly. And this is especially important for people, right, who are diabetic, type 1, type 2, or whatever. You have to watch what it is that's on this index. So sweet potatoes are low on the glycemic index. Here's the interesting thing that I think that you will appreciate, because I did not find this out until a week or so ago. Depending on how you prepare a sweet potato, it moves it on the index. So if you roast it, which is probably what I would tell most of you to do, right? To roast your sweet potatoes. I'm not going to tell you to do anything otherwise. That's going to be the best way to prepare it because it requires less oil, this, that, and the third. But when you roast it, what it does is it pulls the sugar from the sweet potato to the surface. So it makes it sweeter and it raises it on the index. So then it makes it to where it has more sugar. Just like when you have a banana that's more ripe, the riper it is, the more sugar it has. It's kind of like that same idea. So when you roast a sweet potato, it adds to the sugar content and it raises it almost dangerously out of range on the glycemic index. So then that being said, if I have sweet potatoes before and after workout, here's the good thing, because then I was like, oh, this is good. So then if I fry a sweet potato, and you have sweet potato fries, because of the added fat, it reduces it on the glycemic index. So then you see how it's like different. You can have fried sweet potatoes. So then just taking that, fried sweet potatoes, roasted sweet potatoes. Which one am I eating before a workout? Which one am I eating after?
Fried before, maybe?
Correct.
Oh, fried before and roast after?
Yes. I mean, if I had to say, okay, well, I need to place these in a certain place, those are going to be the most ideal situations for them because of the sugar content and what you are looking for within your carbs at that time. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. I'm not encouraging everybody to therefore go out and fry their sweet potatoes. However, what I'm saying is it lowers it on the glycemic index when it is fried. But then going with that same conversation, what does it increase when you fry it?
Your cholesterol.
Cholesterol. What else?
The fat.
Fats.
Mhm.
What else? Potentially inflammation, right? Like I always tell people, don't fry your food. So just the preparation could do that. So it just gives you an idea of the different things that you have to consider when you're looking at food. And it's not just the basic, there's so much that goes into preparation and really considering what it is what your body has to go through to process it. So when you process or when you prep your own food, you know what that entails. When you're going out and you're going and purchasing food and it's already, that's why I'm telling you the best way to, of course, prep is to prep your own food. When you're having to pull from other people's food, then your body has to figure out what to do with it because it's processed in a different way and it's processed.
Can I ask a question just because you brought up the word fried? So like, the air fryer is the big thing now, right? So but it's in my head, I still hear the word fry. So is an air fryer something that is good to use in a sense of like, if I'm really trying to pay attention to what I'm doing and making sure that I'm, eating how I'm supposed to, is an air fryer something that I should use to prep food?
So from what I know about air fryers, yes.
Okay.
But I've tried to do research on air fryers. Air fryers is a tricky thing for me. Like, I hate to give information on it because I don't own one, for one. I don't fully understand how it works. It just magically makes things crispy without frying it, and that alone bothers me. It scares me a little because I'm like, okay, that's not right. Like, I can't even put stuff in the oven and make it crispy without somehow doing something to it so I don't understand how it works.
Right.
But you're not adding the oil. I know the oil is the big part of it, right?
Right.
So,
right.
As far as I know, I'm putting that disclaimer out there. Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
Good question. Anything else on that? Okay, so then I'm gonna leave you all with this. This is the last thing, because what I brought up towards the end in the group chat was the Chobani. The zero, what is it? Fat one, right?
Zero sugar.
The zero sugar one, right? Okay, so then let me really quick I'm bringing up a share so that you can see my screen. Everybody can see this. So this is the label it was Chobani, like Oreos or something. I love Oreos. So I gotten this one and I'm looking at the different things that it has in there and what they get away with on labels. So they're saying 0 sugar. And then I asked, is it really 0 sugar? So what they can get away with, according to labels, is as long as it's not like actual sugar, then anything else that they add that is maybe a sweetener or some type of sugar, they can still add it and still say that it doesn't have any. Okay, so then when you're looking at the ingredients, if you can see that, what else in there is really a sugar?
Monk fruit.
Anything that ends with los.
Right, and they don't have anything on, well, okay, actually they do. So allulose, does anyone know what that is?
No, a sugar.
It is a sugar. Okay, so let's keep that in the back. So allulose, what else? Monk fruit, someone mentioned monk fruit. Is there anything else on here?
I'm thinking
Vanilla bean
maybe the
powder?
vanilla bean powder has to have some kind of sugar in it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think that there was something else that I didn't include in this one. I wanted to.
At the
Doesn't
bottom, it
typing-
says something like include something. I could
Right.
barely see it, amount of sugar, but it's like off to the side. But I think that's what that bottom says.
Yeah, so this is
The
something,
last
right,
one.
that they have to include in addition to. So yeah, if they say, okay, well, this doesn't have sugar, but then if they have anything in there that has some sort of a minimal amount of sugar, they have to state that. So because they have this allulose in there and then also this monk fruit, which is a fruit, then they include this sort of side thing. It says something about it being an insignificant amount. And so they can say, okay, this doesn't have sugar because it doesn't have enough for them to say that they do have it.
But that symbol that's next to that includes some amount of sugar is even next to the skim milk, isn't it?
Because milk has lactose.
No, that's what I was saying.
Right, so then that's the other thing too, right? If you do any dairy, then that also contains sugar. So just to keep that in mind as well. So we'll talk about this next week. What I want you to bring, we already have a designated topic, but what I also want you to bring is a label of something, and you're going to share that and say why you would or wouldn't have it or what you see in it. Like, I want us to get more in the habit of reading what are on the labels. And then especially as it pertains to you in particular. This allulose is an FDA approved, like it's a new thing, kind of like stevia and all of these other like artificially made sugars. This is a new one, but it's only approved actually here in the States. It's not approved in Canada or in Europe. I'm always weary again when we just like start approving stuff and other people are like, I don't think that's good. Then I'm concerned with that. It is a very new thing. So you'll probably see it on more labels, but pay attention to it when you do see it, because that is another sweetener. It is very processed though. So it's not something, it's natural, but then they have to do all these other things to it to make it to where they can put it in food. But it is supposed to be like 70% as sweet as regular sugar. And it, you know, like when they put some of these other sweeteners in it, like it has this weird kind of taste to it. Like most people are like, oh, well, yeah, I know when they have stevia. Actually, I've never been able to kind of pick up, but there's like this other one that is not even good for you anyway. Like Splenda, I feel like Splenda has this weird taste to it. And you know you're not supposed to do aspartame and what is the other one? Any of those packets that they have, like when you go to restaurants, it's blue, it's pink. Those are not good. Don't use those at all. I'd rather you just use like regular sugar or use like
Equal.
sugar. Equal, yes, that one's horrible. Don't use those. None of those packets that you find at restaurants. Okay, but this is really good. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they feel that they need answered before we wrap it up for today?
Someone in the chat asked, is monk fruit good for you?
Monk fruit is good. It's fruit. So it's fructose. And like, that's the tricky thing, right? With sugar. Like it doesn't matter. Like you have good, we say we have good and we have bad sugars, but our body has to break down all of those sugars, no matter what kind of sugar it is. It's just that some are worse for you than others. Fructose is found in fruit. So then of course you think, okay, well then that sugar should be fine. And it is. It's just that you shouldn't still have too much of it because your body still has to break that down. But then like these others are not so good for you. And so we can talk about that when we talk about the label reading next week. And paying attention to when you bring your labels, like for you in particular, you as in the collective you, whatever it is that maybe you're dealing with, like maybe chronic sort of illnesses, if you have blood pressure issues, cholesterol issues, maybe you have these different issues that run in your family, maybe you have arthritis and you have joint issues, all of these different things, then you need to pay it. There are certain things you need to pay attention to when you are purchasing food. Like as another example, when people purchase protein powders, what is it that we don't typically pay attention to that you need to pay attention to if you have high blood pressure?
Sodium.
Salt. And these protein powders are always high in salt. Always high in salt. And then heaven forbid they ask you to put in 2 scoops of that stuff. Really pay attention to the servings, right? When you buy protein powder especially, and it says, oh, this has like 15 or 20 grams of protein in it, but then it asks for 2 scoops. So then you're going through that twice as fast. So keep that in mind too. Like how much protein does it really have per serving? How much sodium does it have per serving as it pertains to you? Some of these that are the ones that have maybe more of the greens, like they're whole, they provide different, like especially like the plant-based ones that maybe have additional like greens and stuff like that. They may be higher in carbs. They also may be higher in fats. Maybe they're adding more nuts or like those types of things. And then if you have nut allergies, then making sure that you're paying attention to those things when they are kind of all inclusive with that. That's why I try to keep, and when I recommend protein powders, I try to keep it as clean as possible. My sort of number for label reading is if I have to read more than about 8 to 10 things, I put it down. If it has colors in it, I put it down. If it has something in it that is not a real food, I put it down. Questions, comments before we go off for the week?
Do you have a recommendation for a protein powder? I don't know if you listed that already.
I did not list it. Do you have a preference for what type of protein?
No, not really.
Do you do dairy?
Sometimes. The only one I can say that I'm not too keen on the taste is the plant-based one that I had got from Costco. That one just, it was very gritty. I didn't like the taste of that.
Yeah, so I get that complaint a lot. A lot of the ones that are plant-based are kind of gritty. Some of them can be. I don't personally do so. Whey is going to go to your system the quickest. I can send out, I'll post it on the page. But there are,
Okay.
you know, a bunch of different, like, it just depends on what it is that you're wanting specifically. If you don't do dairy, then I would recommend something different. And it would be still plant-based, but then they have other things too that you can do. They have egg, they have a ton of stuff. Okay, gals, we're 7 minutes after. I appreciate your time. Thank you all for signing in. And I will see you on the platform this week. Week 2. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Thank you.
Bye.
We
Thank-
made it. Bye.
I know.